Turkey has reportedly targeted multiple military sites in northern Syria controlled by the largely Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces. Areas in Raqqa province are believed to have been hit by Turkish artillery and drone strikes. Turkey has increased attacks on areas controlled by Kurdish fighters. It blames them for an explosion in Istanbul last month. The SDF says it has documented about 70 attacks since Turkey announced its operation on November the 20th. Now, the SDF controls large parts of northeastern Syria, highlighted on this map in yellow. Turkish-backed Syrian groups are in charge of some regions in the north. These can be seen in purple and green. The area in the southeast, also highlighted in green, is controlled by other Syrian opposition forces supported by the US. The Syrian government controls the rest. Well, the spokesman for the Turkish president says the government will not stop targeting armed groups. Special advisor Ibrahim Kalin told Resul Serdar Kurdish fighters were exploiting their ties with the US.
In the recent incident when the terrorists attacked the civilians on Istiklal Street, which is one of the kind of hard points, main points of Istanbul, of course we had to respond, and our initial response was to coordinate and conduct a number of air operations. And of course, depending on the threat level, as assessed by our intelligence and our defense ministry and other related agencies, we will go after these terrorists, whether from the air or from the ground. Mm-hmm. For us, any and all PKK, PYD, YPG establishments, elements, posts, military points are legitimate targets for us. Whether they are in western Syria or in eastern Syria, northern Syria, near the border or far away from it. They are legitimate targets because they are terrorist organizations. And we go after them to protect our border. We don't target Russian or American soldiers or military posts in Syria or anywhere else.
American
our
officials
targets
are saying that
are PKK, PYD, YPG elements. And we tell them to stay away, of course, from those elements. You see, PYD, YPG is using, at one point, the American flag, at another point, the regime flag to protect itself, saying that, you see, you cannot attack us because there are Americans here, or you cannot attack us because there are regime forces here. Sometimes they do this with the Russians, less so recently, but in the past. That, I think, shows the extent to which PYD, YPG is using their alliance with the United States to legitimate their own presence in northern Syria.
Well, let's get an update on the situation on the ground with Sinem Koseoglu, who joins us live from Kilis in southern Turkey. Sinem, what's the latest you're hearing about the Turkish strikes first in northern Syria?
Well, fully, the regular airstrikes and shelling targeting the SDF-controlled areas by the Turkish military continued over the night as well. According to Syrian Observatory, SOR, 2 SDF members were killed during a drone attack by the Turks, and one of them is said to be a high-rank leader within the YPG, PYD, but there is nothing confirmed yet. And also we are hearing the pro-SDF media reporting that the Syrian government has sent more reinforcements towards Kobane, Ain al-Arab. So the regular shelling continues. This is the situation inside northern Syria right now.
And what about the ground operation that's expected from Turkey into northern Syria? We've been talking about that for a number of days now. Any signs of the operation starting soon?
Well, fully for the Turkish authorities, it can happen at any time. It can happen like in an hour, as presidential spokesperson Ibrahim Kalin said last month. It can happen within a few days, within a few hours. No one knows. But speaking to military and the Syrian opposition forces on the ground, they are technically ready. But everybody is waiting for an order from the president, who is officially the chief commander of the Turkish army. So now everything is based on the diplomacy table. We have heard last week that Russia is trying to mediate a talk between Turkey and the Syrian government. It is not expected on the leaders level, but we are expecting a foreign ministry level meeting between the two governments who have been foes for the last 10 years, and the intelligence level talks have been already underway for the last 3 years. But As the elections in Turkey is approaching, which is scheduled for mid-2023, Turkish President Recep Erdogan is expected to make a move in order to normalize relations, at least partially, with the Syrian government. But no one expects President Bashar Assad and President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to give a picture like shaking hands, like Erdogan had last week with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. But foreign ministry level talks are on the way. But we are hearing that the Syrian government is taking it slow and they do not want to deliver anything on a silver platter to Turkish President Erdogan. Erdogan needs a normalization with the Syrian government, but also on the other hand, Erdogan needs a ground offensive in order to prove his nation that the revenge of the Istanbul bomb attack has been taken by the YPG forces in northern Syria.
Okay, Sinem, thank you for that. Sinem Kosoglu live there in Kilis.